Hello everyone, welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Randall King, sitting in this week for Roger Alcock. Well, the men's basketball team at IWU played hard against Taylor University Tuesday night, pulled out a very close victory, and here to help us break down what that was like to get that rivalry win is men's basketball assistant coach Jordan Weidner. Jordan, welcome. We talked about you've been a player, now an assistant coach. You've been around this program nearly 10 years. Tell me just real quickly, what does it mean when Taylor comes to town?
Man, you know, it's special. I would say it's obviously not the same level, but a little bit of a comparison to Duke, North Carolina. You're so close. Ivanhoe's is so good. You're running into their guys there. They're coming to Meyer for groceries. You're running into their guys there. So it's always fun, and it's always a good crowd and a good atmosphere with how close the schools are together.
Well, you've got some of these rivalries, but I always think IW Taylor is special because it is so intense on the court, but these schools are so similar in character and just the way they run things that there's a lot of respect, I think, off court and a lot of parity in terms of unity. Is that the way the players look at it?
Sure. I would even say as intense as it is on the court, there's still a mutual respect given what the programs represent, why they're truly playing the game, and just realizing that these are all gifts we've been given to glorify the Lord. So I think as intense as it gets, that mutual respect is still there and still withstands despite the different outcomes.
And the fun thing is you get to go back
Yeah.
in 3 weeks, which is a little promo. We get to go there. Last few years we've been going on the road for one game. The Taylor game is the right one to pick, and I would imagine those guys are going to be looking for vindication this time. Let's take a look at those highlights as you had a game that, boy, if you weren't in Lucky Arena Tuesday night, you missed something really, really special. Grant Smith really right off the top. What does it do when someone just jumps out like that and does something dramatic?
You know, dunks are always fun plays, as we'll see another one here, but as we talk a little bit, just the emotion and the passion that Grant was showing after a couple of those plays really ignited a fire under our guys. And
then Evan Maxwell comes back down, and nice little soft touch. And Kyle Mangus, we're going to see him later in the highlights for sure, but hitting Maxwell close. And you know, so many things we could say about Kyle, but he is a generous player along with all the other stats.
Yeah, he can definitely score the basketball, but I don't think he has a problem being unselfish. And we actually had all 5 starters were in double figures on Tuesday night, so it was good to see the points spread around a little bit and a lot of guys getting involved.
Kanan Coffey doing what you expect him to do, the lob back into Maxwell, and this is early, but then Taylor starts to chip back. What did you see in Taylor that maybe coaching staff, it didn't surprise you, but what can you say about their composure in getting in that early hole and then battling back?
Yeah, they're a hungry group of guys. They got a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things, and some guys that can really score the basketball. I think they play with a little bit of chip on their shoulder and a little bit of an edge. And I think, as we saw in the second half, that they just never let up. They never stopped. They kept playing hard until the finish. And it was just a good basketball game. It was fun to be a part of. Both sides are playing that hard.
See a Taylor 3 there, and they proved they could do it a lot of different ways. A lot of discipline, I think, on that Taylor team too. Now, we're seeing a lot of IW scoring, and what you're getting is real balanced scoring there in that first half. Mangus actually, I think, if I remember right, going into the half only had 1 point, although plenty of assists, and now you come back out in the second. And did you ever think, as you watch Taylor get the dunk there, did you ever think this thing was in hand from the bench standpoint?
No, we knew we got off to a pretty quick start, but like I said, they're a group that plays hard. They never let up. They got a lot of experience and a lot of veterans on that team, and we knew that they were going to go down swinging if they were to go down, and just knew we had to keep chipping away and keep plugging away. And like I said earlier, fortunately we were able to come out with a win.
4-point margin there, but Taylor starts to close it. And I remember as the game was going on, this is the point where I thought 10 minutes to go, we're going to start to see this separation that we've seen from this team a long time. But you're saying again, the coaches never thought that would happen.
Yeah, they, like I said, they just kept playing hard and didn't let up, and with the number of guys that they have that can shoot it and space the floor and score, it really kept them in the game.
Now we're seeing Kyle Mangus start to be Kyle Mangus. Mangus gonna Mangus. And when he does those step back three, is there any doubt that probably it's going in?
You know, for most guys, that is not the shot you want to see going up, but Kyle's proven over the last year and a half that he has the ability to make difficult shots. And, you know, what's unique about him is that he doesn't go crazy with it. He doesn't shoot them all the time, and there's a time and a place when he lets them go. And fortunately for us, they're usually in a lot of big moments.
We also saw him weaving in traffic here. And then there's just the ones like, I grabbed a rebound, nobody's there, it's just going to take it. And he is unselfish, and then you're right, he'll take the shot when it's there. Yeah. I love Okafor too, you know, the spark that he gave and the little symbol there. And I love what you're doing here. The game obviously is very close, and our highlights maybe are a little stacked to IW, but Taylor just chips and chips and chips, and then your guys get a surge, and then we see how it ends there. And again, any analysis from at this point in the season as to what this team is all about? You know, what are you finding out? Because they get in these holes, they get these challenges, and they seem to find another level.
Sure. You know, I think we're really trying to preach just the togetherness of our guys. We have a lot of guys that are very talented and very skilled players, but man, when we come together, I think those skills and those abilities are heightened. And I don't know that we've tapped into what that really means for this group. We've had moments, but we haven't put a full 40 minutes together of just being one and being together. So I think it's exciting. We're encouraging our guys and pushing our guys towards just being unified for a full 40 minutes, and let's see what that really looks like.
Well, you've been there as a player and now at least a year or so and as an assistant coach. What are you telling maybe these players who are new or just a second year in the Crossroads League about January and February here?
No game is given. You could be playing a team with 11 wins or 0 wins, and there's a very good chance that the team with 0 wins could end up being a harder game than the team with 11 wins. And, you know, I think, especially with how many young and new guys we have, really just emphasizing the importance of each game really matters now.
I think we looked at the league standings the other night, and you shouldn't look at them at this point in the game because everybody's going to play each other. But it was kind of your typical traffic jam. One team ahead by just one game, and then about 4 teams at number 2.
Same record, yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen that many times with the Crossroads League. Thanks, Jordan Weidner, for coming in and breaking it down. It's going to be a fun January, February to watch. The Wildcats will be back in action this Saturday at Huntington University. That game will start at 3 p.m. after the women's game. And Coach Jordan Weidner says if he was on strapping it up again, he loves shooting in Huntington Gym. So he won't be doing that, but our Wildcats will, and make sure you can travel. It's a short ride. We need you there. Well, when we come back, we'll take a look at the women's basketball as head coach Ethan Whaley joins us in the studio. Stay with us. Welcome back to Wildcat Week. The women's basketball team played their rivalry game also against Taylor on Wednesday night, taking a close defeat in the final seconds of the game. And here in studio to help us break down a heartbreaker is head coach Ethan Whaley, recovering a day later. I know just right off the top, you never like to lose. Does it hurt more losing like that?
Oh man, I don't know if it hurts more. You know, you lose less sleep when you lose like that. You know, I thought it was a heck of a game. Both sides played their tails off and left everything on the floor. I think both teams made different runs where when they needed a big stop or a big score, they got it. And at the end of the day, Taylor made one more play than we did, and that was the difference in the game.
We'll see those video highlights in just a moment. You get to relive them again. But as second year head coaching on the women's side, is this Crossroads League everything you expected it to be, looking at it from the side of the men's and looking, you know, at both parallel programs? Because you're all knotted up just like the men in the league right now.
Yeah, you know, I think somebody last night said it's a meat grinder. You know, every night you're playing against one of the top teams in the country, and if you don't come ready to play, you're going to get exposed and going to get embarrassed. And again, I thought we showed up and we played hard last night, but there were mistakes that we made, and we'll probably watch them. That when you play good teams, you get exposed, and you can't. They make you pay for those mistakes. And last night was an example.
Here we get into some of those highlights, and this first quarter, I mean, talk about dictating tempo. Every coach says they want to do that. Taylor did it. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean,
this is obviously
right
a
now
positive
you're showing
side.
Good clips, yeah. So I thought we did at times really push the tempo. When we were able to get stops, we could get out in transition. But
there's your worst nightmare.
Yeah, right now you're seeing one of 14 three-pointers that we gave up to Taylor, you know. They're so versatile. They're really good. If you guard them too tight, they'll drive by you. If you don't guard them tight enough, they'll do what they did last night, and that's make 14 threes in your face. So
here's some more of those, and of course we're gonna end this game much closer and talk about the comeback. But does that we know it puts you in a scoring hole. Does it put you in kind of mental hole to do that? Because one thing I love about this Wildcat team, they just never quit.
Yeah. I mean, when you get down early, one thing we kept saying is water finds its level. We got to keep making them earn tough shots, and eventually their shots will stop falling and ours will continue to fall because we were getting points in the paint. We won the paint battle 34-12 last night. So I loved our shot portfolio. But again, our defense wasn't good enough, and they had way too many open looks.
We saw there we called them the bookends on the game last night, the Books twins, and they scored well. What I love is you see Carly Lang there and fighting back defensively. It never got totally out of hand, obviously, or you never would have found a comeback in the second half. And that's just a credit, I think, to the character of the team.
Yeah, we're about to get down 15 here real quick. It was 20-35, and then we kind of made a run of our own, closed the gap, and I think we were down 7.5, and then we made another run to start the third quarter that closed the gap, and obviously we took the lead.
And Seacrest there, we don't see the injury, but she really is productive there at the start, and then just unfortunately maybe we'll get that after the highlights, but that's kind of a big loss of a good solid player. You needed that physical presence.
Yeah, huge loss with Ann going out. Obviously depth is something that we've had to our advantage this year, but with one of your playmakers and one of your most versatile scorers and defenders out, it changes things a little bit. And I'm proud of our group. We kind of recovered from it, but not having Ann was a big loss.
I love the production. There's Janae coming in and just the presence. And a lot of times in fast break transition kind of baskets, you got a lot of work. Now let's take a look at this real key game. It was a big delay. We may not see the replay there, but clearly an elbow and ends up being a flagrant one.
Yeah. I mean, it was a battle down there. It certainly wasn't intentional on the Books girls' part, but elbow went high, and we were the beneficiary of a flagrant call.
So we're looking here and we see this real closing in the gap. And what are you thinking on the bench like this when you scrap and you scrap and you scrap and you get to 4, then 7, then 4, then 7? You just think we got to do one more thing right?
Yeah, I mean, the approach was one possession at a time. It's so easy when you get down 6 or 7 to think, we got to get it all back right now, and when really, let's get a stop, let's finish with a rebound, let's go down and own the paint like we did. And again, we put ourselves in a position to win. We were up 2 late, just couldn't hold on.
Third quarter now, 47-41 at this juncture. It just seemed like for a while that 4 to 7 point margin was never going to go away. What level did you think your players found as we see them kind of still Taylor doing what they do, but not quite as dominantly? What did you find defensively, offensively that you thought made the difference?
Yeah, I think we started to contain the basketball right there. We forced a couple turnovers and shifted the momentum in our favor, got a couple easy looks. And when you can turn a team over and then get easy looks in transition, man, it really builds confidence.
A lot of opportunistic play. And I noticed Taylor wasn't going from the outside in the third quarter, but they were starting to get the layups. They were starting to get open up out underneath. So I give a lot of credit to them for adjusting to what you did adjusting. But here is the point, I think, your first lead in the game. And did you ever think as a coach now we're going to start to build on this, or did you just kind of think Taylor's not going away either?
Well, you knew it was a heavyweight fight, man. They weren't going to fold like that. They're too good of a team. Obviously, you don't ever think, okay, we're going to lose the lead, but you knew it was going to go down to the wire. And we fought till the end. Just ran out of time.
A lot of court awareness by Taylor, sometimes taking advantage of a few mistakes, and both teams made mistakes. It's not to call attention to that, but when you take advantage of the mistakes, it's big. And what I also liked was the balanced scoring there. Adejua coming up off the bench and just giving you key buckets when you need it, and also giving more minutes down underneath.
Yeah, Elena, that's kind of what she hangs her hat on is making big offensive rebounds.
Big three there by Margot. So let's go through these painstaking 9 seconds, I think. You go down the other end. What's happening here?
Well, they wanted to go to Bradbury. We took her away, and then it was just kind of scramble mode for Taylor. They put their head down. They drove it. Got a foul called, and they hit 2 big free throws here, so we call timeout to advance it.
Timeout, and now the decision to go with the lob to Nicole. Can you tell us what the play call intention there is, and what do you think actually kind of happened?
Yeah, man, it was set up perfect. We wanted to throw to Nicole. We didn't hold the seal quite like we wanted, so it allowed Taylor to get in position to win the jump ball. And then just an unfortunate foul late, a little bit of a panic mode, and the game's decided at the free throw line.
It really is a question of fouls and who's going to make a mental error there. Anything about those kind of last-minute game decisions you'd like to have back, or second-guessing as you look at the tape?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many teaching points that you want to cover in a timeout, but when you have a 30-second timeout, you go over these plays every single day. I guarantee if we run that play 10 times, the one time that Nicole doesn't hold her seal was right there. The other 9, she's getting that bucket, or she's getting that ball, we're scoring, we win the game. So don't want to overthink it too much. Wish it would have went differently, but she was first team All Crossroads League last year. She'll hopefully do that again.
And a lot of you obviously have a lot of confidence in some of those upperclassmen and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we wouldn't be here without them, so we would absolutely go back with them again. And believe the result would be different.
Well, in about 30 seconds, and this is going to be hard to do, you now go into what's maybe the toughest stretch. We never want to say anything in the Crossroads League because people will surprise you, but Huntington, Marion, am I getting it right? Grace?
Grace, then Marion.
Yeah. So words of wisdom for that to your team.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing 3 of the most physical teams in the league coming up. So you've got to be ready for a battle, got to be ready for a war. We played hard last night, but it wasn't enough. So we got to dig deeper and find even more, or else this is going to be a long finish to the season.
As someone once said, it's not over till it's over, and it's far from over in this league. Thanks, Coach Whaley. The women's basketball team, as he said, will be back in action on Saturday against Huntington. That game at Huntington. Please travel if you are so inclined, because there's always a bunch of Huntington people there, and it's nice when IWU shows up. That will be at 1 p.m. When we come back, Mikala Woodfork will bring us the breakdown, and we'll talk to some swimmers from the IWU swim team. Stay with us. Welcome back to Wildcat Week, and now we're going to send it over to Mikala Woodfork with a quick recap again of the Wildcats rivalry games against Taylor this past week. Here's the breakdown.
Thanks, Randall. Well, the men had a big game against rival Taylor on Tuesday, and man, was it a great game. Right off the bat, the Wildcats showed they were ready to play when Grant Smith scored back-to-back dunks, sending the Wildcat Stadium in an uproar. The men kept that same energy throughout the first half, ending in an 8-point lead, but when they came back for the second half, things were a bit shaky. After missed shots and not being real tight on rebounds, Taylor was able to make a comeback and get a 59-48 lead. But just when some of the Wildcat fans started to get a little worried, Kyle Mangus wakes up out of his slumber. He wasn't having his best game with only 4 points thus far, but in the last 8 minutes when the Wildcats needed it most, Mangus came through with 15 straight points, which helped the Wildcats get the 79-72 victory. The following day, the women's team had their rivalry game against Taylor, and it ended up being just as nail-biting. The Wildcats trailed Taylor by 15 points to start out, but were able to get closer and closer to them with each passing quarter. In the last 4 minutes, the Wildcats made a significant comeback, tying the game at 61-61, fighting back and forth with Taylor. When it came down to the last 4 seconds of the game, the Wildcats needed only one more shot to win. Unfortunately, they were not able to get that shot, resulting in a tough 72-70 loss. Even though the women lost, they still put up a great fight. Well, that's all I have for you this week on The Breakdown. Back to you, Randall.
Thanks a lot, Mikala. Well, IWU swimming made some big splashes nationally in only their second season, and here to talk a little bit more about that and also their time in action. Sophomore swimmers Sarah Jackson, Caroline Warner. Ladies, welcome to Wildcat Week. We were talking before we came on the air. Is there ever an off season in swimming?
No.
The pool always works, so you're always swimming.
Yes. You just don't stop, and you don't stop until you graduate. So
That's a good way to put it. Well, you're coming back, sophomores, in really the sophomore season. Incredible success in the first half of this season. Can you give us any highlights from either of you about like this second fall semester for both of you?
I think our freshmen really started off like really good. They brought a lot to the team, so that was really helpful in all of our meets. And then I think I'm really excited to see what nationals brings for everyone, because they've been really helpful in getting our points up for our meets and stuff, and they're really helpful in like our relays and stuff. So
yeah, I just love our freshmen because they bring a whole new set of amazing, talented swimmers, but also just themselves have amazing personalities, and they just kind of spice up our team.
That's
I just
fun.
love them very much.
You know, the football team had this first 50 thing, and that will always be a special group. You guys, whatever the number was, but the first swimmers, the first, whatever you want to call it, we don't need to brand it, but think about that first season and then what it's like moving to second season. Is that kind of special to always know that you'll be the first?
Yeah, it's always going to be special being team one or whatever. That's kind of what.
But you don't have any time to think about it because you're back in the pool, right?
Yeah, we're back in the pool, but at least something that I always worried about, especially just us being first team, was the freshmen that came in, to them think like, oh, well, they're team one, we can't try our hardest, or we can't be close to them as people, or just all these things. And that was a fear of mine, at least coming in to this year of being team two or whatever.
yeah, we didn't really want to put like a label on team one, or like have them feel like they're team two and they don't matter.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like we're all just one team.
Well,
and
you said you love them.
Yes.
And obviously you've been able to integrate your one team, and next year you'll bring in more. What's it like sort of bringing that new energy? And I know you don't, except for relays, you don't do swimming together. Yeah. But you got to be unified as a team. And so what it's been like to try to bring them in and bring their energy into what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I think we changed it up a lot. Last year we didn't do as many like team bonding things as we do this year, and we've been doing we do yoga together, and like a lot of out of the pool workouts together and stuff. So I think that brings a lot of the team bonding together, and we try to do more pasta parties before meets, and we hang out a lot outside of practice, which helps because we get to know each other more.
I went along on one road trip. How many times are you on the road? This is a team that doesn't really have home meets anyway. So I guess it's critical to have that bonding kind of stuff, because you will live or die with these ladies, right?
Yeah, we're on the road. Like you said, every meet we have is out of town. We have to travel all the time, and this meet that we're actually gonna have this weekend is 4 hours away. Yeah. So we kind of, we don't have to get along, but it's kind of nice too.
And my other observation from being there one time is your meets go on forever, but that's just swimming. We've got about 20 seconds. Looking forward to nationals. Anything else? Just big highlights you expect this second semester?
I would just say people who haven't made national cuts yet to get those national cuts. And I'm just so excited for nationals, because it's just going to be a week of high intensity, just cheering each other on and just having an amazing time.
And you guys have made a statement, haven't you?
Yeah, we're excited.
Well, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with. In just year two, people know IW swimming. Congratulations for that. And
Thank you.
Keep on swimming, I guess I could say. The swim team will be back in action this Friday and Saturday. They'll be competing in the Center Colonel Classic, January 11th and 12th. And you see the dates there as we move into 2019 swimming. They're always in the water. But thank you for taking time, dry time, to be with us. Well, that's all we have for you on this episode of Wildcat Week. If you'd like to see more from Wildcat Week and catch up on highlights, you can visit our website, wiwtv.com. That's where you can see past episodes and connect with us online. Again, it's WIWUTV.com. And stay connected with all of our local programming by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's WIWU TV 51. Be a subscriber. We do look forward to seeing you next week. And for all of us here at Wildcat Week and for Roger Alcock, thanks for watching.